And a very good evening, everybody. Warm welcome to a Lyceum evening coming to you from the Paul Christian Spiritualist Church on the south coast of the UK. I have to excuse me, a little bit froggy tonight. As you can see, I'm all on my own. All right, no R's. Never mind. But we're just getting ready here at Paul. We've got our rally weekend next weekend. Now, we're in the middle of a wonderful weekend with Bill Rich. Took a wonderful dem last night. Private sittings today, and we'll be rounding off with the service tomorrow morning, which you can watch live online at 11, or you can actually come down and see it live. But yes, next Friday, this time next week, where will we be? Saturday night. This time next week, we will be in the middle of a trance demonstration from the wonderful Mark Stone. So it's all piling up. It's all getting ready. Jack and Lola are traveling as we speak. Hello, Matt. They are driving over from Denmark and getting the ferry across. So I think they're getting the ferry a little bit later, or maybe early tomorrow morning, one way or the other. But anyway, they're on their way, so that's exciting. They'll be here by midnight tomorrow. And then we have Ewan and Fred are both traveling down from Scotland, and they're coming down on the Thursday. So it's just like the gathering of the clans. It's so exciting. Getting ready. And a couple of people have said, why are you doing this? And I thought, I have no idea. It just sort of got out of hand. No, seriously. It was, we've got so much within spiritualism beyond the message. It doesn't get that much airtime. And this weekend is just to, number one, we're bringing together some fabulous demonstrators. Frederick, for instance, has worked with Jack and Lola online, never actually met, so it'll be first time physically meeting. Let's hope they actually get on, that'd be handy. Then Ewan has worked with Frederick, but he's either met Jack nor Lola. So it's great for the demonstrators to meet up. We had very good ones again last year. The lovely Susan Brothwood Hughes, what a delight. She's great fun. And Stevie Trollan down from Scotland. So we had all these people just coming together. But the whole emphasis of the weekend is just getting the teaching out there. Just being the access to the information through the talks, through Q&As, and of course all the other things that we would associate with a spiritualist meeting. So we've got a couple of workshops going on the Saturday and the Monday. There's private sittings available through the week. On the Sunday, we kick off with our divine service at 10 o'clock. And then the rally itself, the talks start at 12 o'clock. As I said, Saturday night, Mark will be doing a demonstration of trance mediumship. And Friday and Monday are both demonstrations of mediumship again. One is a straightforward one, the Friday, that's the gala opening night. And then the Monday one is the mediums be doing experimental mediumship, so different ways of linking. So there's loads there for people to watch, join in, partake. But yeah, so the talks that are coming up, we've got the wonderful Ewan, and he'll be talking about the spirit within. So we're talking about that soul journey. That's often not given enough airtime. Frederick, the joy with spirit. So no idea what he's going to be talking about there, but it'll be interesting. He's a wonderful speaker. Then Lola, after our lunch break, will be talking about spiritualism outside of the UK, which is actually a good topic because it makes us realise how lucky we are in the UK to have so many churches and centres at our disposal, and not to take them for granted. Seriously, it's like everything. Once you start taking things for granted, they disappear, and then one day you go, oh, I used to like that. And Jack will be rounding off the talks, and he'll be talking about the healing aspect of the evidential mediumship. So lots going on. And it's a great delight to welcome all these wonderful speakers here in Poole. We also have a gentleman. Now, he is doing his degree in filmmaking. And part of his degree work is he needs to produce a documentary. And he has chosen the subject of spiritualism. And he got in contact with me. How this happened, I have no idea, but it did. So I'm very grateful. Was asking if he could come and film me sometime working at a DEM, and we got talking, and I said, well, actually, we've got this weekend. So this gentleman's coming down for the whole weekend, and we're filming different parts. Don't worry, we have agreements, we've got editorial rights, nothing will be recorded without the express permission of everybody involved. Part of the church will be a no film area, so when you come in, if you don't wish to be on camera at any stage, you just sit in that area. So we are managing that. But how interesting. And he's really keen. He's a Mexican gentleman. And we did a couple of Zoom calls, and I was very by his, number one, his enthusiasm, but number two, his integrity, because he was talking about in Mexico, like the Day of the Dead, their understanding. And I thought, that's fascinating. I might get you up there talking, mate. So yeah, that was an unplanned incident. Everybody is comfortable with what's going on. Again, just to reiterate, never happen, and it is really simple. So, but yeah, our little church here in Poole is going to be on a film. How wonderful. I love it, the way these things happen. Really do. Thanks for talking about the rally. I think I had written it properly. So I'm just going to revisit it. This is it. And it was just a little question. I have these thoughts come in, and they sit there and they have a little boogie, and they wander around my head, you know, knocking on windows and rattling bars and things like that. And I just have to deal with them. And, you know, quite often when many of us started on our spiritual pathway, and many of us, certainly in my generation, I don't know about today's generation, but we would have been taught something in circles. It's called discerning the spirit. It would be, there's various different accounts of how that happened, but the actual premise of it, the actual understanding was sound, and it was the same. I always remember my old circle leader. She said it was like watching a flicker book of all these faces. And she'd go, oh, I like you, like you. Oh, I'm not too keen on you. Oh, like you, like you, like you. So we were always taught to discern the spirit and work with the spirit. Come forward a few years. And today we have this expression, the intelligence of spirit. And that's being spoken about and being used more and more often, which is quite right. And please, everybody watching, please join in on this conversation. You know, if you agree, great. If you don't agree, great. Absolutely. This is how we work things out through debate. But where was I? Mine's wandered off there. The intelligence of spirit. I know the cat's even agreeing with me. And the understanding of that, because quite often people, through no fault of their own, because the teaching wasn't there, or they haven't sought further education, or whatever. It's not a blame game. It's not a culture. We'll talk about spirit, like in this third party. Say, "Oh, spirit told me to say this," and "Oh yeah, spirit," and it's always like being held at a distance. Do you know what? And this generic term of, "Oh, spirit said this and spirit did that. Spirit will do that for me," and that began to. I struggle with that. And many of you know me and you still talk to me, so that's wonderful. And I can be a little bit so and so. And when people say that now, "Oh, spirit said," what spirit? Who? Who told you? Because, sorry, to say spirit told me, that's like me saying, "Well, humanity told me to do this." It's too generic. We are getting there. Don't worry, I've not wandered off the track. So when we talk about the intelligence of spirit, we start to work with that, and we start to, yes, I know, and we start to look for the intelligence. Now, when we start on that pathway, we are opening up our awareness, we are introducing energy follows where thought flows. So we are putting that thought out, and we start talking about the intelligence of the spirit world. And you get it time and time again. This is what I love about spiritualism. This is why I'm so passionate about spiritualism, is because everything we do has evidence. So we're not just talking the message from the platform or the private sitting. We're talking about the philosophy which resonates with us, which is like the light bulb moment, that epiphany moment. Healing, everything we do. And when we bring in the intelligence of the spirit world, get off the microphone. When we talk about the intelligence of the spirit world, we also then, there's no such thing as coincidences. Well, I'm very much of that now. I didn't used to be. I know. I didn't used to be like that, but now I see it. And there isn't any coincidences, because you'd be thinking about something and then something will pop up on social media or in a conversation. I just had somebody sharing a very deep thought with me, and they were half expecting me to say, "Yeah, I think you're totally wrong." And I think I surprised them when I said, "Actually, yeah, I agree 100% because this happened to me and that supports that." It's so interesting. So we look for that intelligence in the spirit. And why not? When we talk about spirit, we're talking here about everybody that has ever lived. Ever. Every single person. Every king, every queen, every bandit, every genius, every philosopher, every doctor, everybody. And we have the access to all that information. We have, I nearly said unlimited, but unfortunately we have very limited access to that. And the reason our access to that is limited is because our brains will, "Oh, can't do that. Oh no, won't do it that way. Oh no, maybe not approach it that way." And I'm thinking, okay, so when we're approaching the spirit world looking for development, when we're approaching the spirit world looking for information on things, and it may not be forthcoming, or it may be very forthcoming, how does that work? What's the difference? To me, to you, to me, no, to me, I was looking at the purpose of what we seek from the spirit world. This is what sort of like prompted this post today. The spirit world are infinitely intelligent. Spirit world also have a much greater understanding of us than we know ourselves at times. They can see potential in people that person may not be aware of at this time. And because of the love element, because of that closeness element, all these things will be nurtured and given with love. So when we hark back to, as I said, I put a quote in. I'm reading a book about Hunter Selkirk, who was a physical medium. And it's a fascinating story, really is. But there was one part in there, and he went to, first time, never been in a spiritualist church, walked in, sat down, medium goes to him, I've got your wife here, Dot, and I've also got your daughter, and forgive me, I can't remember her name, and presented volumes of information to him. And I'm like, wow, nowadays we get a name, many mediums, we have, whether we display it or not, but we have that moment. Just like that. And we may or may not show that visibly. Hopefully may not show that visibly. So I just got to thinking, okay, why when we go back to the 30s, 40s, 50s, was this much more common? Was this much more prevalent? That, this really concise information would come across. And then it expanded into thinking about physical mediumship, because quite often today people say, why don't we see the physical mediumship that we did at the turn of the century? And I thought, okay, well, if we start to factor in the other world and the intelligence of the other world, then actually I'm starting to see, and this is only my philosophy, this may change tomorrow morning, I know the way they work. I'll walk upstairs, something will happen and go, well, that was totally wrong, and I'll start again. But with the intelligence of the spirit world, if we go back to, let's go through the past first. We go back to turn of century, spiritualism needed to be visual. The standard of education wasn't great. It was only available to the few, not to the masses. So things like reading and writing, huge. 85% of the population couldn't read or write. So bringing out papers on things would be a wasted effort. You're only appealing to 15% of the population. So it sort of like holds water with me that the demonstrations of mediumship were much more visual. Because what better way to get a lesson over than if I sat here and talk about this chap, Hunter Selkirk, and some of the amazing stories of his seances. We're going to sit there, first of all, a little bit disconnected because it's just somebody telling us a second-hand story. We're going to bring into our own mind, our own views, our own judgment, our own thoughts, etc. And it's there for us to have a look at, a little play with. We can't interact with it, and so we can either accept it or dismiss it or just park it. So the mediumship of that era with the physical phenomena of mediumship would have been that thing that everybody, no matter what their background, if you had 80 people in that hall, you would have everything from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich, and everything in between. So what better way of getting one message to all those different types of intellect, all those different understandings, all those levels of intelligence, than by a visual display? If you got a hall and suddenly somebody's nearest and dearest is made manifest through ectoplasm, the whole room will be part of that experience because they will all see it. So it becomes undeniable because they're all going to go out and go, did you see that? Yes, I did. Oh my God, what happened? So yeah, that makes sense. And again, this is backed up with the thought of the intelligence of the spirit world. You can almost see the machinations there of the spirit world going, right, how do we reach everybody? I know. we could do this. So the wheels turned, the right players were put into the right places. Those with the ability were sought after and selected. Because you read a lot of the history of spiritualism, and there's an awful lot of the old pioneers and big names of the past who actually came into spiritualism to prove it wrong, which is really interesting. So they would have come in with a very open, very engaging mind, very eager to analyze everything that they saw and heard and was told. Not just come in and, you know, like we do today, no disrespect. Oh, we're going to have a lovely afternoon of mediumship. Oh, that was lovely, wonderful. Right, I must go home and make the old man his tea. In those days, you know, all these people were coming in, firstly through the amazing stories that would have been shared around mouth to mouth. But also, you know, this generation of the greats are going, okay, I'm hearing these stories. I think there's a load of hokum. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to expose this. And then after a couple of years going, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe there's something in this. So it's fascinating. You know what? As I say, when you look at our history in this instance and try and get into that intelligence mode of the spirit world to understand all the machinations, all the things that were going on. So we need a knowledge of our social history there. We need a knowledge of the time. We've just come out of the industrial age. So, you know, wow, your world changed overnight in those days. And all these things going on. So people were very active and very engaged, and the spirit world were there to promote and recruiting. And I do believe the spirit world recruit. We may say we've got free will. Sometimes, well, certainly my own personal experience, free will is expressed, well, you can do it today or tomorrow. Which one? What do you want to do? You tell me. So the spirit world were recruiting all these people to work for them. So that shows this great intelligence there. But that intelligence is also reflected back to the spirit world. You know, all these circles that would have evolved, the home circles, because, you know, at that time, we are talking pre-churches and centres. All these circles that evolved were having the most fantastic phenomena. Because again, taking that theory of the broad spectrum of the population and the very limited educational levels of them, not their fault, society. So in the home circles, you've got people gathering together who have got a yearning to understand. They're not going along for the thrill. To get into the circle, I mean, you used to be invited, and I'm sure that the circle leaders would do as we see today. You know, somebody will walk in and go, I would like to join XYZ circle. And you look at them and just think, actually, have you considered looking at this first? Because that might help you to understand better what you're looking to do. But anyway, so we got all these home circles, this fantastic phenomena going. Because it's full of people who were yearning to learn more, yearning to develop their link, yearning to understand the spirit world and why. Because, and this brings in very nicely Lorna Crowther's question. Is their purpose to share the reality of the afterlife? It's not the spirit world's intelligence that the person they choose to share. It's not the spirit world's intelligence the person they choose to share with. Sometimes the messenger gets it wrong because they didn't get it. Seeing spirit can be frightening and unsettling because it makes us think differently. Do you know what, Lorna? Brilliant. Yeah, apologies for stumbling over your words there. And quick hello to the lovely Belinda. Thank you. That is the sort of question that these people would be actively researching by going to meetings, by going and sitting in a circle, by going and learning more about the spirit world? Is their purpose to share the reality of the afterlife? My humble opinion, very much so. You know, my spiritualism isn't about talking to the dead. My spiritualism is about living today and how we can live today in a more rewarding, fulfilling, and enterprising way. And I don't mean that on a personal basis. I mean that as the planet as a whole. It's not the spirit world's intelligence a person they choose to share with. That's interesting as well, because the physical medium from Portsmouth, who was done under the witchcraft trails, and as you can gather, I am now poodling about because her name has just gone completely out of my head. She had the most amazing physical phenomena, and she was basically an itinerant, this lady. I've seen trance mediums of today who are just ordinary average people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when they are talking in the trance, there is this refinement, there is this etiquette, there is this wordage that's used. It's just like, I know that's not you. No offense, but you know, that is definitely somewhere else. The messenger getting it wrong. Yeah, seriously, time and time again, we do it and we'll continue to do it. I was teaching in Circle the other night and I brought this up. There's a gentleman saying, oh, he's talking about a cod, and the sitter was going, I have no idea why he's talking about a cod. Well, he's talking about a cod. And I said to him, what are you actually seeing? He said, it's a fish. And the sitter went, that was his name. That was his surname. But the messenger, the medium, had seen a fish and called it a cod. Could have called it a herring. Could have called it a goldfish. He just didn't call it what it actually was. So, yeah, we do make mistakes. And seeing spirit can be frightening. Yeah. And, you know, it can be very perturbing. However, we are the ones with the power. All right. This is, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but I'm quite happy with this. I'm seeing more and more people very eager to give away their own power. You know, if you hold this crystal, this will happen to you. If you adhere to this philosophy, that will happen to you. If you believe this, then this could happen to you. You know, and all these things are actually, they're making us dependent on this external force. So be it a philosophy, an object, or whatever, we become dependent on that because, and this goes back to my theory with humanity. We have one basic flaw, he says with two fingers, one basic flaw, that we're always looking for somebody to save us or someone to blame. And if you use that approach to a lot of these things that are coming out and being spoken about more and more these days, you can actually see that energy right at the core. And my philosophy is, if I want to find a person to blame, I go and look in the mirror. If I want to find a person who's going to save me, I look in the same mirror. And it's as simple as that. You know, dyeing my hair orange and wearing bells on my shoes, and it's maybe interesting when I'm going around Asda, but it's not going to save me. It's got to come from here. So yeah, seeing spirit can be frightening. Because it makes us think differently. Really key. Lorna, brilliant. What do you think the purpose is? Because that ties up what you've just written there in a beautiful circle. Is their purpose to share the reality of the afterlife? Because it makes us think differently. Look at the world today. Do we not need some different thinking? Do we not need the voice of reason and sanity? Do we not need compassion, equality? tolerance. Where can we get that from? So really good. Thank you, Lorna. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Going back to the intelligence of spirit. As I say, in those days, we saw fantastic phenomena from, the evidential medium stood there giving a demo medium, and the description and the detail. There's some wonderful old videos of Gordon Higginson, and the depth of description, the road name, 1, 2, 3, 4 houses down on the right and up 5 stairs, and it would be a green, it's just like, wow, we're on that journey with them. So that was really strong. But again, at that time, people were engaging because they were searching for things. They were looking for things. All right, there would have been an element who would have treated it as an amusement, as with everything. Doesn't matter what we do, some people will treat it as an amusement. But a lot of people were really earnestly searching, looking for things, looking for what's more. Why do I feel hollow? Why do I feel like there's something missing? Because I know inherently there's more. So these people were all out there searching, and the spirit world were front and center and engaging with people. And there was a beautiful message. And right at the end, this lady went, "That's amazing." Gordon went, "It's not amazing, dear. She's here. She's here now." And I love that, because that is what we're about. They're here. All right, they're not up there. We don't ring a bell. We don't call them down. They're not talking to us through a tube, like on the old liners. Hello. They're here. And everything about them is here with us. How amazing. How amazing. And how life-changing when you approach that evidence in that really deep intellectual way, not emotional, not personal, just, okay, what does this mean? I live forever. What does this mean? Seriously. So bringing it up to today, see, we are getting there. Bringing it up to today, often people will say, well, why don't we see the levels of mediumship that we used to see? Reading these books and these accounts from the 40s and 50s, astonishing phenomena, was not only displayed physically, but also through, by that time, mental mediumship was coming more to the fore. So it's the things that were said and shared, not just the messages, the philosophy, the art, the poetry, the reform within our governments. Second World War, Air Marshal Dowding, who is attributed to winning the Battle of Britain. Ardent spiritualists, 3 books. They took from spiritualism and changed their thoughts. It made them think differently, as the lovely Lawry has put there. Today's world, I'm not saying these people are not there, but they are not as dominant. They are not in the numbers that they used to be. Because over the last 35 years, not everywhere. I am not having a dig. I never talk about people unless they're here to give their side of it. That is a very firm house rule for me and in the church. But the evidential mediumship, the message, has sort of like taken control of everything. We've got a couple of working mediums in here tonight, and I'm sure I'll get a wry grin from there. that after a demonstration of evidential mediumship, the chairperson, whatever, will stand up and say, well, thank you, Lawrence, that was lovely. Next week, we have a really good medium. So that works on so many levels. Number one, okay, I'm not a really good medium. Oh, that's fine. But it does show that it's just the focus has just become on the message, the endless message, repetitive message. I asked the spirit world, my team. Now, again, I know the intelligence of the spirit world, there isn't one answer. We have a world populated by everybody who ever was, ever has, ever will be. Do you think they're all going to think the same? Wouldn't that be dull? Wouldn't that be non-productive? Wouldn't that be ultimately destructive? We have different thoughts. I love listening to trance, and you hear different philosophy, different aspects of things coming through. Not always in agreement. That's fine. There's not a problem. So I asked my team and I said, do you ever get really fed up with keep coming back and keep giving the same message over and over and over again to people? And all they do is go away and may have a feel-good factor for a couple of weeks, may not. Come back and get the message again, and it's just this endless cycle. And they just said, no, because we give in love. What they do with it is entirely up to them. I went, oh, I get that. I really get that. So going further, why are we not seeing these formidable demonstration of the phenomena of evidential mediumship so much? I'm not saying they don't exist. We have got some brilliant demonstrators out there today. Absolutely brilliant. I had a thought, and this is where I probably lost it in translation when I did that post. That I've said this for a while. If on Sunday, if I stood on that platform and I levitated 3 foot off the ground, people, including me, would be going, ooh. Next week, you wouldn't be able to get in this church. It would be heaving with people wanting to see that. So you do it again. The week after, same thing. Probably got film crew in by then as well. Same thing. Week after, stand up there and do it, and then the crowd will be going, yeah, we've seen that. Can you not do something else? Now, this is the energy I'm trying to transcribe into what I'm talking about with the evidential mediumship. I had a sitting with somebody, and the father came through, and the description flowed of the father. Blah, blah, blah. I understand this as your father. Came back, what's his name? I went, do you know what? When you were 13, sat there watching Tiswas, and your dad walked in the room, did you go, what's his name? No, you didn't. So don't do it here. But it did make me think. And I thought, yes, I'm beginning to understand now why sometimes we don't see. Had the name been given, all right, think about, hold the memory there of levitating on the platform week on week. So, all right, his father's name is Harry, for want of a word. Goes away, thinks about it, comes back. Yeah, I'm not really convinced. Where was he born? Well, he was born in Streatham. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was. Go away, think about it. Yeah, I'm still not convinced. What's his birthday? And do you see what can start to happen? We get this fixation then on the information. Because to me, there's a big difference between our information and our evidence. Information is names, dates, place of birth, national insurance number, colour of eyes, yada, yada, yada. Evidence is the warm, loving, caring, or maybe not, maybe the complete opposite character of this person. That's when we start in the evidential. It sounds a little bit conceited, but it isn't. It is not, is not, is not. Sheldon from the Big Bang. The spirit world can see so much more of us. They can see potential in us. I love that word. It's my favorite word of all time, potential. And they can see the abilities, they can see the possibilities as well. And if somebody is on this endless loop then of just seeking eternal information, the spirit world sooner or later are just going to go, yeah, okay, we fair enough, we love you dearly, yeah, but we're not going anywhere with this. This is just, and it's probably, oh, that's interesting. Now, I've not thought of that aspect. It's probably detrimental to us as well. Thank you. I never thought of that side of it. I'm so busy trying to think of the spirit side, I forget the human side. It's probably going to be detrimental to us because if we go then on this quest for endless amounts of information without actually taking that in, and it's like being on a jury on the world's longest running murder trial. Do you know what I mean? We never get to that verdict. And that's what the spirit world want. When we have all this information, when we have all this evidence, when we have this experience. Now, this is a very firm favorite of mine, that spiritualism is an experience. That you come along to a service, be it here, there, wherever. Don't care, as long as you go. That's the main thing. And you don't just sit there. Come on then. Impress me. What are you going to get out of that, seriously? Seriously. You're going to get out of that what you put into it. It's a nice way of putting it. But if you can sit there and just allow yourself to immerse in the vibration, immerse into that presence, immerse into just this moment of being here and listening earnestly to what's being said and to the acknowledgements or not coming from other people, you're then starting to drift into that state of awareness and being at one with the service as a whole. And that's where we have these experiences, because they're the things that are going to sit with us forever. If I was to ask anybody there, what was said to you last Thursday morning, we'd all be going, well, hopefully, we'd all be thinking, I have no idea. I don't even know where I was. But then if I said to you all, how did you feel when you first met your beloved? Bang, you're there. How did you feel when you first held your first child? How did you feel when you were being married? How did you feel at a loved one's funeral? Everything's there, isn't it? It's all accessible. You're there. You're in the moment. You can see the flowers. You can smell the church. You can smell the old wood. Do you know what the weather was like? The vicar stumbled and said the wrong name or something like that. Because it's all there, because you have in that experience. And this is what I strive and promote. And a lot of good people out there do this naturally. Have the experience of spiritualism. Don't go there looking, you prove it to me. Go on then, prove it to me. Do you know what? Seriously, I have these beautiful images. I've got one of those minds, you say a word and I can see it. It suddenly turns into a picture. And I've come across people like this. Go on then, prove it to me. The spirit, I just see the spirit world rolling around on the floor, clutching their stomachs while they're absolutely howling with laughter. I love that image. Because they can see, it's just, why should we? If you're not prepared to meet us halfway, why should we? Who are we? Are we your servants? No. Are we all beck and call? No. So, yeah, the experience of spiritualism is so important. And it's something we've got so many new people working on our platforms, coming into our churches' centres, joining us online. We can have that experience in the virtual arena as well. If you get an adept communicator, demonstrator, whatever your terminology, and you start to get this beautiful circle. So you've got the spirit coming. Oh, hold on, where's the camera? So you've got the spirit there at the top of the circle, who's the other way around, feeding the information to the medium, who's down here, who is relaying that information on to you, the sitter. What really, really needs to happen is when that sitter is getting that information, that their thoughts will then go back to the spirit. And then you've got this flow. You've got this awesome miracle. You know, I talk to my mum, and every time I talk to my mum, it's a miracle. Because she's not here, but she's there. But I can talk to her. That's great. So the experience side of our spiritualism, I think that's an area that we could do with having a little look at. That's an area we could try and assimilate into our meetings. Yeah, because it is that experience. Lovely Lorna. I don't know who you are, Lorna, but very welcome. Thank you. You're feeding me some wonderful lines here, so thank you. I really appreciate that. Going back to when I was saying about remember back to all those different instances, and you were there, because feelings are relatable. Of course they are. They're totally relatable. And what do you think messages are? They are transcriptions of feelings. They are transcriptions of emotional events. You know, so yeah, thank you, Lorna. But yeah, the experience. So just to round off where I started 48 minutes ago, when we think at time, you know, why am I not getting the name? Why are we not getting this? Why are we not getting that? It's because everything the spirit world does with us has a purpose. And this will actually, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, in my opinion, cover the physical phenomena of spiritualism. Again, go back to levitating. Ooh, great. I neglected to say that if I was doing that, by the third Sunday, I would be charging 50 quid a head to come in. You want to see it? Give us your money. Again, with our physical phenomena, it's got to, when I say got to, this is my phraseology and my opinion again. It's got to serve a purpose. It's got to be there, presentable to certain people who will use that to springboard or to further or to gain a deeper understanding. It's going to have a result. That's probably a better way. It's going to have a result. It's going to encompass growth. It's going to engender a wider knowledge. It is going to encourage searching and understanding. But if that result is absent, because, as again, you know, the spirit world look at us and go, yep, got you, know where you're coming from. If they, you know, if they go, yep, it's not going to go any further with you, and people say, oh, well, you know, he couldn't tell me his name, says a load of rubbish. Yeah, absolutely fine, love. Great. Have fun. Don't have fun near me. Sounds awful, doesn't it? The spirit world can see that. So yeah, we, you know, the phenomena of our evidential mediumship is amazing. But when we look for, you know, more and more from it, what are we giving in return? And how are we looking for it? You know, are we unconsciously or consciously adopting that thought pattern of, well, you know, come on, spirit, again, back to the impersonal spirit. Come on, spirit, make my coffee. That does make my make my coffee cup move. You know, they're going, we're not here to entertain you. You put in some work, you put in some understanding, you put in the groundwork, you put in the intent. Then maybe if your energies are conducive to making this experiment work, it might happen, you know, because there's a lot of variables. There's a big thing to be said about, you know, when we deal with people and when we talk to people. I've had people saying, you know, I want to be XYZ, and you're looking at them and just feeling your way through the energies and going, it's very admirable what you'd like, but it's just really not there. It'd be like me, you know, becoming a musical medium. I am tone deaf. It's hideous. You hear me in the shower, it sounds like, I don't know, the exorcism scene out of The Exorcist. It's vile. So I'm not going to be a musical medium. And you will get people saying, but spirit will do it for you. Why should they? I need to ask people this question when they say that. Why should they? Why should they make you an artist? Why should they make you a pianist? Why should they make you levitate? What are you doing to support it? Anyway, get off of that one because I get a bit passionate on that one. Lorna, do you think spirit messages come through when it's via Zoom? I have experienced the online evidential mediumship phenomena when we started doing it from Paul, and I was getting these great people that were helping us out all over the world, and just amazing. I thought, well, I need to work as a medium online also because I'm asking people to do it and I've got no knowledge of how it works. So I need to put money where your mouth is. And yeah. And do you know what, Lorna? Sometimes it's a damn sight easier. I always remember, I can't remember, and I wouldn't name the place anyway. But I was serving an online community. And I was talking away to this lady about her husband in spirit. And my awareness just went more and more that he was there. He was there. Now, I've never experienced that closeness of the spirit world on platform. But of course, I'm sat at home. I'm quite comfy. What you can see the top. It's nice, isn't it? Needs a line. Never mind. You got no idea what's going on down here, do you? Tell you what, in the summer months, it's shorts and flip-flops, which is great because you can't wear that on platform. So what I am clumsily trying to get at there is the online phenomena of mediumship. Actually, it's very interesting because the mediums, a lot of the time, are in a much better frame of mind and mental state than they are, you know, when I go out, where can I go? All right, when I go down to town a little bit further down the coast, it's an hour there, hour back. The services are in the evening, so I will be leaving here about 4:30 in the afternoon. You know what it's like traveling these days. No matter how you travel, there's always a damn delay of some type. So you're checking up, making sure, you know, you got the train time right, or the roads are clear, or whatever, yada, yada, yada. Get down there. A lot of the time in places, you know, there's nowhere for you to go. There's no quiet area to sort of like just sit and just go, okay, we're here, let's party. That's my thing with the spirit world when I'm working. We're here, let's party. So you're around people, you can walk in, especially at this time of year, the AGM time of year. Oh my God, it's a minefield. You can walk into places and just pick up, you know, the 2 minutes before you were there, or last night, or last week, something happened, and that affects your energies. Does affect your energies. How much it affects your energies is in our own hands. We need to learn ways of managing that. But the primary instinct is it does affect our energies. Then you're standing up in front of a mixed room of energies. And again, you can have, I had an experience very recently, and there was somebody there who should never, ever, ever set foot in a spiritualist church. And I hold that 100%. I'm not going into details, but what this person was doing was abhorrent. Anyway, so you got all that going on. And in amongst all that, you're trying to be this clear channel for spirit. Take that over to the Zoom and the virtual side of it. You know, I'm going to sit there with feet up on the coffee table, cup of coffee, cheese sandwich, like my cheese sandwich, switch telly out, have me little chill, go in, log in, and I'm sat there in my lounge. I'm perfectly comfortable. Got the cat annoying me as usual, which I wouldn't be without. So, cool. You know, the mediumship actually has the potential to step up quite a few levels, because you haven't gone through all the charade of getting somewhere, finding your way through all the enmities that are going on, or people do it, and I don't know why. As working mediums, and there's a few in here tonight, and please comment if you don't find this. But you go out to serve churches and centres, you walk in, they go, "Oh, glad you're here. Do you know what happened last week?" And I'll normally go, "I really don't care. Tell me after the service." It really, you know, it's just a thing, just a thing. So half an hour later, Lorna, yes, I do believe, and my experience tells me, excuse me, it most certainly is spirit message. All right, because as I said, this guy, when he was right there, and I'm like, this is great. Why doesn't this happen on platform? Yeah, Belinda, online communications, just the same, if not better, on Zoom. And again, because, you know, we got the mediums in that really sort of like passive state. We haven't got all the fuss, as I've been describing. You know, we're there at home, and it's great, you know, because we turn off and we're at home. We're not thinking, "Oh God, I've got to travel an hour to get home now. I hope the roads are all right. I hope they haven't cancelled the trains. What am I going to do if there's no train?" You know. You just switch off and go, "Oh, right, where's the cat?" Lovely. I like that. When I was a flight attendant, some of my clearest spirit communications were in the tiny back galley area of a 737. Really interesting. Lots of thoughts on that one. Number one, enclosed spaces. Now, I really need somebody who really knows what they're talking about with this. Those of you may have seen this, that people will use what we call a cabinet. So we have curtains around it. It's a small enclosed space. It's always been a thing, and especially associated with trance and physical mediumship. Hanging on the tails of the intelligence of spirit, I question myself, this is my question to find out, does sitting in a chair surrounded by black cotton curtains increase the energy? Intelligently, I can't see how that happens. Again, interesting. Now I'm thinking about it. There you go. Again, what we were just talking about Zoom. You're at home, you're comfortable, you're in your own environment. So yeah, it's the cabinet, like that home environment that the medium finds himself in, where they can find that greater depth of awareness. Ooh, there's a topic for a Saturday night. Pros and cons. But so anyway, half an hour later, sorry, Belinda. So you're in this small enclosed area. We're doing tasks that I'm sure you'd agree. If not, shout at me. I don't mind. You're in Florence. You're never going to find me. we're doing tasks that are not going to tax our brain. I don't mean that this, you know what I mean? I'm talking about things like when we're doing washing up, when we're doing a bit of ironing, when we're going around with a hoover, you know, so we're getting our minds just gone into that neutral gear because we don't actually have to think about what we're doing. If you're sat there doing a Sudoku, your mind's going, doo, 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 doo. If you're sat there ironing a shirt, you're just, like that. Same at work. We get what's that stage in training? Unconsciously competent, which means that we just do things without thinking about it because we just know it. It's second nature, so we just do it. Interesting. Belinda's just put in heightened level of energy in the air when people are flying. And again, this is quite interesting because you've got all those people enclosed in a space. Now, I do believe that certain materials will have an effect upon energy. Oh, bugger. Belinda knows where I live. I'm going to move. No. Materials have an effect on energy. Many years ago, I just had this bee in my bonnet. I wanted to build a circle room. Well, no, I'll rephrase that. I wanted to win the lottery, and then when I'd won the lottery, I was to build a circle room. But it was to be built out of oak beams and copper nails. And it was just there in my head. It's not come from anything I know, I've learned, I've heard. It was just there. That was the simple plan for it. It was oak beams and must use copper nails. And I went, okay. A little while later, very dear friend was talking and he said something about Ogron energy. And I don't mean the ones off of Doctor Who. And I went, what's that? And he said, it's a natural form of energy. And they make these Ogron energy converters, for want of a better word, where they use natural elements like twigs and copper sheets in between. And it actually does build up this natural harmonic energetic field. And I went, well, that's really interesting. So, yeah, because we have insulators, don't we? We have two types of metal. One, if you put it in front of a socket and touched it, nothing's going to happen because you're insulated. Another one, even just by picking it up, you're going to get a shock because it's a superconductor. So, yeah, and we are talking about energy. So, in an aeroplane, in an aluminium aeroplane, a round tube, everybody in there, especially in the heightened, you know, I'm going on holiday. See me, Belinda, seriously, if you got me on your plane, you'd throw me out. I'm a nightmare. So you got all that going on in that very confined space. That's really interesting. Ooh. Now, something's just stirred a memory. I will find it and post it on my page. There was a seance held in an aeroplane that flew out of New York. God, that's risen up from the murky depths. I will research that and put that on my page because I remember reading it and going, wow, that's fascinating. So, yeah. Anyway, no worries, Lorna. Thank you for your input tonight. So I hope tonight I haven't bored. The numbers have stayed pretty steady. I don't know, so you might just be unconscious by now. I don't know. You're over 21. I'm not your keeper. I hope I bored you or anything. It's just interesting sometimes to work these through. And as I said, this thing, the intelligence of spirit and the experience of spiritualism, these are two things that are really sort of like prominent in my mind at this time. And I know when things like this happen, I just need to work it through, and then come to a conclusion, and then I'll put something else in there. But as I say, it's just, and going back to the experiencing, you know, this is another fundamental about the rally weekend, bringing everybody together to share that experience. You will be able to, there won't be a Lyceum next Saturday because we will be with Mark in trance. But on the Sunday of next week, all the talks will be shared on our Facebook and YouTube channels as they are now. So if you're not able to get down here, you can join in from home and listen either at the time or later on catch up. We've got an amazing lineup of demonstrators. We've got some amazing people traveling all the long way. There's a big crowd coming down from London. There's a couple coming down from the Outer Hebrides. There's another lady coming down from Liverpool. I'm just like, what's going on here? It's the old saying, isn't it? Build it and they will come. So yeah, next weekend, busy weekend. Apologies, no Lyceum Night on the Saturday. However, you are very much invited to join in with the talks on the Sunday, starting at 12 noon GMT or BST as we are now, BST. In the meantime, have a wonderful evening. All right, lots of love. Don't forget, you can watch our Divine Service tomorrow live online on Facebook and YouTube. And we have Bill Rich from Essex who will be taking that service. But in the meantime, wherever you are, so nice. Look, it's 8 o'clock at night and it's still daylight. I love it. I hate 4 o'clock darkness. Wherever you are, have a wonderful time. Take care. Lots of love to you all. And yeah, whatever you do, be happy. Find the joy. There's always joy. All right. Night, everybody.